Welcome back to the Art Corner. We are back. It's summertime. It's hot. Me and Brandon have been talking about how hot it is. And I'm going to do a little summer terracotta pot of flowers. This will be kind of short and sweet. It's been a while and I'm rusty, so you guys bear with me. But I want you to enjoy this painting and try it at home. Try it at home. I'm doing it in oil, and I've already got my horizon sketched right here. Once I get my flower pot sketched, I'll spray it and we'll do it. Thank you for being here today. I hope you enjoy this. Here is my horizon line. That's real important to get so you can kind of place everything. And I think I'm straight. Terracotta pots are fun too, and backgrounds are fun too. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and draw my pot. And it's really, if you're starting a painting, go ahead and sketch it in, and then you can even sketch it in chalk. You could paint your background black and use white chalk and sketch it in. If you mess up, get a paper towel, lick it, wipe it off. But this is a white background because I'm going to kind of do a loose impressionistic background on this. And do start with your background so that if you mess up, it's easier to fix. Here's the little lip on this. It goes, here's my horizon. I'm looking at this on my phone, you all. It kind of goes down just a little below my horizon line. Rounds off. Let's round it down here because I want you to see the little napkin it's sitting on. You just can't go wrong with a pot of flowers. And these look like, you know, I'm not sure what kind they are. They're not wildflowers. Maybe some kind of, I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm really not sure. But they're pretty. That's why I picked it. And then you get your kneaded eraser, okay? They are square and clean when you buy them. Then they get cruddy and they look like this. But you can pull them and clean them up. Get rid of that line in the middle. They erase like great, like nobody's business. Get rid of that line in the middle. Ta-da. Then I want to find my little napkin and place it. It's right below the horizon line. And I tell you what's really important too with paintings is your scale. Your scale is real important. This line comes down. And if you aren't sure about how the line is, get a straight edge and sort of check it to make sure you're straight. It's okay to cheat. Make sure that line is straight. And even though you might think it'd go down like this, it doesn't. It goes out. Same, the other side goes the opposite way. Let's make sure these are straight across. Yes. This goes this way. It's not going to be perfectly straight because it's a napkin. And then this kind of goes across here. There is a little fold, so I'm going to bend it up just a little bit. I'm holding my pencil way back here so that my lines are light. You don't want them real heavy. You do the same thing with a paintbrush. Hold it back further for a really light line. There we go. Now my flowers, I'm not going to draw them all because I'm going to paint them in, but I kind of want to put them as high as they'll go. They're very irregular. This one will come down here. This is an 11 by 14, and it'll fill up that little spot, but you don't want it overwhelmed. I actually could come down just a little bit on this napkin because I'm up kind of high. Let's do that. Bring it down just a little more. You want it kind of balanced. Get my trusty eraser. Get rid of that line. I was telling Brandon I am just a little nervous. Hadn't done it in a while in front of everybody. There we go. Let's see. All right. But you know what? Painting is such good therapy. And It's kind of, if I put you to sleep, that's okay. Here's a fold. There is a shadow, and I'm going to go ahead and place it so I won't forget. The shadow is at an angle, and it comes up here all the way to the horizon line. That helps me remember that's what we'll do. Now, this is full. What are these called? They're not vinca. I forget what they're called. I'll think of it in a minute. There's a little tag right here like you leave in when you get them at Walmart or something that tells you what they are. It's right here. We'll get it in. Some people leave them in so they'll remember whether they're full sun or shade or. And I tell you what I love about this pot and the reason I chose this picture, it's got crud on it. Crud is so much fun to paint. Now, once you get it sketched, get you some cheap hairspray. Make sure it's not going to go everywhere. Lightly spray your lines. That way when you start putting paint on it, they don't go everywhere. And I'm going to dry this, so I'm going to kind of fan it back and forth. Here we go. Let's dry that real good before we get started. Now, I'm going to start my background colors. And I'm cheap, so I'm using a paper plate. You don't want, I'm going to do oil today. You don't want to use a foam plate with oil because the mineral spirits or the paint thinner will eat right through it. So you want to make sure that you have enough, use one of these wax covered plates, okay? And actually I forgot a cup to put it in, so I'm going to put it in this lid, which will be plenty fine. Just put it right here. When you do your paint thinner also, guys, make sure you put it in a clay pot or glass, something it won't eat through. It is a chemical, and it's kind of strong. Don't get it on your hands either. Now, background. It's kind of a crusty brown teal green. So, I'm going to go ahead and just mix it for you, step by step. Going to start with white. I'm going to get a little bit of blue. I don't mean to sound Bob Rossi on you. I'm just trying to get some of these colors and kind of show you step by step. This is a great color. It's called sap green. It's one of my favorite. Mixes real well with blue. Then my favorite color in the whole United States of America is burnt umber. I use it on paintings. I use it on furniture. I use it on everything. Burnt umber makes it look old. I love it. And maybe just one little smidge of yellow, just a smidge. Oh, and black. There we go. This is Mars black, which is wonderful. There's all different kinds of blacks and white, but Mars is real good. Let's see. This one's pretty full. And if you are a serious painter, make sure you have a big white and a big black, because you'll use those the most. Now, when you do background, you're going to use a bigger brush. It gets the job done, and it gets it done kind of quickly. I'm going to use this one. Good size for a background. Here's my linseed oil, and you want to pour that on your plate. And what this does is it's a blending medium for your oil paints. And actually, this is what's in your oil paints, is the linseed oil. You're just adding more to it. And if you leave your paints in your car like I do, it dries them up. So I have to use a lot of linseed oil. All right, look here, this is my palette, and I am going to blend blue, green together and make me a little puddle of the background. I use my little turpentine to kind of thin it out. You don't use much, you really don't. It's also a brush cleaner, your turpentine is, with oil. All right, there's my kind of, have you a paper towel right by your plate. Some people use cloth towels, but I don't recommend it with your turpentine. All right, now I want this to be loose and wallery. So that's why you use a big brush. And I'm tired today, but you know something? Painting a picture and is relaxing. It really is. It's harder to get it together than it is actually to paint it. This will calm me down. And it will you too. If you start painting and you're stressed out, a good session and paint something you love that you're excited about will calm you down. People say that about exercise too. It's harder to get started, and then once you do, you feel good. Kind of the same way about painting. All right, I want to get a little more blue tealy. I was showing one of my friends this picture I'm going to do. She said, "Oh, give it to me. I want to use it for my logo." So she might. We'll see. Here we go. And let me tell you another thing. I'm looking at my phone because I've done this one before. But I recommend if you see a picture like on Pinterest or on your phone you want to do, go get it developed into at least a 5x7 so that you can see the detail of your painting better. And if you take a picture on your phone that you want to do, an original, get it enlarged. Because you'll be surprised what you'll miss if you don't have it large enough. Even if you see well, you'll miss a lot. Okay, let me get a basic teal back here. And I'm going right behind where the flowers will be. And it is a little darker behind the pot because it's sitting in front. There we go. Get that line in there. Now I'm adding a little umber, and I'm going to add a little black because this is behind and I want that dark. And I will tell you this, and y'all probably, I don't know if you remember or not me saying this, but what separates the men from the boys in painting are your darks and your lights. You cannot be afraid, and I've seen people who are good artists, but they're chicken. And they don't do those darks and lights. And don't be chicken. It's just paint. And it really sets the mood. And it shows that, you know, oh wow, that was big, sorry. That yellow got a hold of my brush. Let me get rid of some of that. See, it is just paint. You can go right over it. Even if you make a mistake, that yellow will not conquer me. Don't have to worry about it. Go right over it. And you will make mistakes. So just, that's part of learning. There we go. Get that dark in there. Boy, Mr. Yellow. Now let's add a little umber and tone that down. There we go. And that's the kind of the color I wanted anyways, that browny, jaundice looking. There we go. And I want it loose, so I'm not going to make it solid. I'm going to do some weird strokes here and there. This looks like it might be rusty and falling down. Gold leaf is pretty to put at the top of a painting and pull gold down on the painting. Gives it a little shine, gives it a little formality. And you can get gold leaf in an oil-based paint. And guys, remember this is a basic lesson, and all other artists out there are rolling their eyes, but you cannot put water on oil. You can't do an acrylic on an oil background. You have to do, always do oil on water, but you cannot do water on oil. So you can do oil on basically anything, but you have to be real careful what you do acrylic on, because it'll come off. There we go. Now where the flowers are, I kind of want that lighter. And the messier it is back here, the more I'm liking it. Get me a little more dark. There we go. Summer's almost over, but I thought let's do one summer gig. And in the fall, we're hoping to do some cool fall stuff. So you guys tune in October. And I think you'll enjoy what we're going to get into. I'm ready now. I don't know about you guys. I'm ready. Now I'm going to get down into the table. And it's a little bluer. We want it to look a little different. Okay. So it's a little more blue or teal. Yeah, this one's going to go fast. It really will. This one will go kind of fast. A little more teal. Adding some white to lighten it up. Got my puddles here on my plate. And if you don't finish your painting in one session, keep your plate, get another plate and put it on top of this plate, and it'll keep your oil wet for a long time. They'll stay wet for 2 or 3 weeks. So you can go back and try to, you don't have to think about, oh, what colors did I use? There they are. And sometimes oil will have develop a little skin on top of it. Just get your paintbrush and a little turpentine and slough that off, and it'll be wet underneath there. Oils are a little more expensive, so you do want to keep your palette. You don't want to have to resupply every time you start a painting. Acrylic, different deal. They're cheap. They dry really quick though. They're dry in 10 minutes. Oil is really my favorite. The old masters use it. Ours are more up to date, of course. But I love the patina that oil leaves on your canvas. It's rich. It's still moving around. Takes it about 3 weeks to dry. That's the only thing. You just don't want to frame it for 2 or 3 weeks. And you can varnish oil, and it really pops after that. Now let me get that shadow in. Use my black right here. I'm going to still stick with this larger brush. And you don't have to, well, now a lot of artists would argue with me on this, but you don't have to buy a $40 brush, okay? You can go get a little pack of nylon or bristle brushes, especially to start out with. They do the job. They really do the job. And I don't know if you're like me or not, but I don't clean mine probably as well as I should. And so they get all gunked up, and if you buy a new one, so what? This one, I think this little pack of brushes was $7.99, and I've got everything I need in it. So if you're a beginner, I recommend just getting one of the nylon sets of brushes just to see if you're going to enjoy it or not. And they work really well. And a clean brush helps your lines be straight, gets that paint on there good. Now I will touch up this shadow when I get my napkin on. A little darker. Yeah, I want this back here to be really dark. I'm going to add some more umber. And some more black. There we go. And just muddle it together. See how that yellow's almost gone? There we go. Now, I want this dark blotchety blotch to go all the way up. And I want it to look kind of impressionistic up here. And you might want to go ahead and get your sides, because some people don't frame them, they just hang them. So you want your sides done. Here you go. A little more brown. Let's get some black. I hope y'all have had a good summer. It's been a hot one. There we go. Now, let's get that center area lighter again. So I'm dipping my brush in this little cap full of paint thinner, and that kind of cleans off that paint. And I'm dabbing around in my puddles, and I'm going to lighten up that back area right here. And then we'll start our pot. I may do my napkin next. Let's try that, because it is kind of background. Now this little area here is really white, so I want to get that on there really white, and that'll show off our shadow. There you go. Now, okay, I'm going to change brushes, and since I don't have a big thing to put that in, I'm going to just lay it there, and I'm going to start my napkin, and I'm going to do a smaller brush for this. And so I want to squirt me some more white out. Titanium white, not a zinc for a solid oil, or they make like a metallic white too, and it's too translucent. You want titanium because it is solid. Okay, now this napkin, it looks like it's kind of a linen napkin, which is cool. And I'm gonna get more distinct lines. I'm gonna do just a dot of yellow in that linen. There we go. Get into my linseed oil just a little bit. And if you have trouble doing a straight line, press your forearm against a table or put your pinky down, and that will stabilize your arm for straight lines. I've got my forearm pressed against this table, and that helps me keep this line straight. There we go. All right, now I want to get my shadow that I drew in. Ignore it right now. It's real light here. There is a light source apparently right here on this linen napkin. And I'm going to do a little dark line under this linen napkin to ground it. And I don't want this perfect. I want it kind of cruddy too. So I'm going to add a little brown, crud it up back here a little bit. There we go. Now let's go ahead and play with that shadow. I'm going to get black in that linen puddle and match up my line there. But it's important that you have your shadows in to make it look realistic and ground it and show where your light source is. And guys, on this art corner thing, I mean, we're kicking butt. We're doing this fast. So if you've got time at home, you can relax, mess up, you know, just kind of, if you mess up, you can start over. But I'm just kind of hurrying just a little, not much. This is an easy piece. But I don't, you know, hurrying is not your friend in art. You want to be able to relax, take your time. Realism especially takes time. I'm going to tell you, dog whiskers, kitty whiskers, all that takes time. There you go. Eyes on people. Now, get into my white just a little bit. And this is really white right here. Boy, that lid came in handy. Always get the low odor paint thinner. Otherwise, you'll be dizzy when you finish your piece. And people around you will be affected, so make sure you get low odor. They're the same product, just no smell. And some people will even use gloves. Not me, I can't do it. I just hold my paintbrush back here where I won't get anything on it. You don't want to get turpentine on your skin, but you don't want to wear gloves either. It kind of constricts you. Here we go. We're super white right here. I want a big contrast. And I'm kind of flattening my brush out right here because I want it to look like a piece of material, not a solid anything. There is a fold, And that fold's going to be represented by one dark side, like this. And one light side. That'll make it look like it's lifted up a little bit right here. Okay. Now take this on down. Keep using this white a lot for my edge. Take this on down. There is a little rise right there. Clean off my brush, get it back in my white. Pull that white up so that it's the opposite of that dark side, and it sort of illustrates a fold. Now, let's crud this up again back here in the background. And I want to get this corner in. I kind of left it out right here. Make it dark right there. Don't want to lose my horizon line. But now I'm going to shove my forearm again against this table because this is a straight line. There we go. Now, okay, right there. Now I'm going to get a really sharp edge on this brush. And one way you do that is by pressing your paintbrush down like this. Sharpen that edge. I'm going to get it in that black. And I'm going to go down here under this napkin. It's real important that it's grounded, especially right here where this fold is. So let's get that black line in really strong. Not solid like a cartoon, character, but just solid enough that you can see where the napkin stops and the table begins. Get it way over here. Solid line. I'm really easy right in here. Don't want it super thick right there. Sharp, sharp. And then right over here. And it doesn't have to be completely straight because somebody's just laid a napkin on a table. And that's what you want it to look like. Rid of those canvas holes. Really dark here. Your paper towel is your friend. Now it is kind of dark here. Now one thing I can see I need to do, this line has got to line up with that white line. So I'm going to clean my brush, get into my white a little bit, find where that shadow ends and pull it on down. That way it matches. There we go. Small things like that make a difference in realism. Impressionism, not so much. But if you're doing a realistic piece, you got to make sure your lines are okay. There's actually a little bit of a shadow here I'm noticing. So I want to get this. There we go. Strong white light pop right there. All right. Now, let's get into that terracotta pot. That's the fun part. Now, to make it look realistic, you don't want it pumpkin orange, but you do want it to be, you know, a little pumpkin-y, a little terracotta. I'm going to leave everything on my palette, get a little yellow ochre, a little bit of, what is this? This one is crimson, not red, but crimson. Got my yellow and I've got my burnt umber. Let's start with these and see what we can come up with. Now the pot is, you know, pretty good size. I don't want a teeny weeny brush. I'm going to use this medium brush right here and see if I can get this base coat going. All right, making a terracotta puddle right here on my plate. Let's see here. I want to show y'all this. See? And it just, all these colors are together and you can just mix them and mingle them and they should work. I'm going to have to add a little more red. And I've said this 100 times too. I hear myself repeating myself. Red will take over. So be careful when you start putting red in your color palette. It loves to take over. Now I'm going to add a little bit of orange. And that's kind of cheating because you need to learn to use and mix colors as an artist. And they make every color in the world now. You don't even have to mix them. Adding a little bit of this, a little more white. Okay, a little more umber. I want it darker. Still not there yet. Okay, there we're getting there. See this color right here? We're getting there. It's kind of terracotta-ish. I'm going to go ahead and start with it. My brush is sharp. And here we go. I'm going down, straight down, right here. Then I'm going to pull across. And this pot is two-toned because of the shadow. Let me stabilize my hand with my pinky. And the only thing about oil, if you've already had like paint over here on the pot and you put your pinky down, you're gonna make a mess. I don't have paint over here yet, so I'm putting my pinky down to keep my hand straight. There we go. And go ahead and swash it sort of at a curve so it looks roundy. Take it all the way down to your napkin. I'm gonna add some white. There we go, we're getting there. I love terracotta crud. It looks really good. Bring it down. As a matter of fact, my pots outside on my deck, my favorite ones have green mold on them. They just look cool. Fresh pot just doesn't look like you know what you're doing. Okay, I'm adding some white up here on that pot because there is a highlight right here. It's not going to be perfectly even because we're doing crud. There we go. And I think you need to do your brush strokes up and down, not straight, just everywhere. Like this. And I tell you something else I'm going to try to get out here in just a minute is a little palette knife. And show you how to really crud it up. All right, get in my puddle again. I'm going to add a little more umber to it. And I'm going to get down here, put my pinky down, and pull that across. It's got to be round and straight there. There we go. Doing all my little swatches so it looks cool. Now, a tiny little bit of blue in there, and that matches your background some. There's a highlight right here, more white. You will use the heck out of white paint. And you'll use the heck out of black paint too. That's just something that you will use an awful lot in any of your paintings. They blend in with everything. All right, got my elbow down. Cross your fingers. There we go. Get that line in there. Now, flat brush. Get that white highlight. Up and down, back and forth. I don't want it solid. Now let me show you a little trick with a palette knife. This is a palette knife, and it looks kind of like a, you know, a knife you'd use in the kitchen. You just sort of use it like you would icing a cake. Get that paint on the edge of it and scruff it around like this. Don't make it, just scruff it up like this. It's really cool. And it leaves sort of those open areas. They're a lot of fun. Even with realism, a palette knife comes in really handy. Here we go. Palette knife some of that in there. I'll go back to it here in just a minute. Let's get this side darker. Same pumpkin color. Little umber. Your light source is here, so your dark is over here. Go. Pull that across. I'm going to add a little black to give it some drama. Pull that across. And you should have sort of a, you know, a specific line where it stops. So let's pull that all the way down like that. So that shows the shadow. Get my sharp brush, do this edge, bringing out just a little bit beyond your pot. Now, sharp edge this down. And really doing straight lines just comes with practice and not a lot of coffee. If you drink a lot of coffee, you're not going to get a straight line. There you go. Adding a little red. I'm trying to get that pumpkin back. And it doesn't have to all match exactly because it's an older pot. I'm going to put a little bit of white mold and green mold on it too. And we'll get the palette knife back out here in just a minute. There we go. Dark down here, and I got to match my little linen cloth. So let's get that covered. There we go. Right there where my shadow is. This is the fun part. Just kind of the high detail. And making something look old is a lot of fun. All right, now I do have quite a bit of a little red pop right here on this pot, so I want to blend it in. Get rid of some of that extra paint. Blend, dry brush some of that in. There we go. It's really darky orange here. Now it's not winter yet, but if you get your paint, paint groove on, by winter time, you'll be, enjoying it. And on those old snow days, when there's nothing to do, you can stay home and paint. Wish we would get a snow day every now and then. There we go. That's the only thing I don't like about summer. There's absolutely no snow days. I just love it when they say stay home, and they don't do that much. There we go. Now, guys, I'm going to get my palette knife back out. And I'm going to get this, hang on a second. Got this green going on, because this is kind of mold right here. So I want to get that green mold in. There we go. That's been sitting out in the weather. Isn't that cool, though? It looks kind of moldy. I love it. There we go. Let's get that green in there. There's even a little bit of, white over here, a little white right here. The cruddier it gets, the better I like it. There we go. All right. Now, getting back into my umber, getting rid of some of that extra green, shuffling that around a little bit, making it look old. Let's get the palette knife working again. Get some of that green off my palette knife. Here we go. Now, I'm going to get into my black and add a little drama. Right there. Make sure that shadow's dark enough on that one side. So I'm getting my, you could do it with burr number 2, but I think the black is going to make it a little more dramatic. Make sure that shadow is dark enough Let's get a little smaller brush and get that shadow working. What did I do with that? Let's see, we'll try this one. This doesn't have any paint on it at all. I'm just going to scoot it around with a dry brush. Make sure that shadow's there. There we go. All right, let me get a little more black. Make sure that rim is dark enough. Like I said, don't be chicken on your values, your darks and your lights. Don't be chicken. There we go. Now I'm going to get the bottom of this little pot and make sure it's really dark because it's floating right now. There we go. That grounded it a little bit. While I'm using the black, I'm going to make this little fold a little more dramatic. There we go. There we go. That helps. And I'm going to get all the paint off this brush and get this shadow a little more dramatic. Cool thing about oil, it's still wet. So you don't have to worry about it being dry and starting over. You know, it's like you're still working on it. There we go. Isn't that cool? All right, now this palette knife doesn't have any paint on it that's wet. So I'm going to get it and just scruff it up a little bit. Just scruff it. There we go. Scruff that just a little more. All right. Now, I will finish this bottom in a minute, but we're going to start the flowers. And how we'll do that first is you want to get black background, because all the highlights will be on top of it, except for just the edges of it, where your flowers will come up and out. I'm going to turn my little napkin over so I don't get any more. There we go. Now, bigger brush. Clean this off pretty good. See, that turpentine takes it, or paint thinner takes it right off, see? And once you get your paint off your brush pretty good, you can use Dawn to get the rest of that off your paintbrushes so that they last longer. Okay, now, I know this seems weird and it's kind of scary, but you want to get your black on like this. Just get it on there. Black, black, because your flowers are going to be on top of this. Do not be afraid. Black is a great color. I've said this before too, and it's gross, but you can actually sneeze on black and it looks good. You do a black canvas and anything you do on it's going to look good. And they sell them now too, where you don't have to paint them black, they're already black. There we go. And it looks like these flowers, you know, they're going to come up and be loose as we go up higher. But just make sure this part right here is real solid. Now I know that looks weird. There you go. Get it dark. Now we'll tell you the one disadvantage to oil that's kind of hard. Sometimes if you get your paint too thick, when you go on top of it, it blends together. Whereas acrylic, once you get it thick, it dries 10 minutes and you can go on top of it. But oil, like this is pretty thick black, so I will really have to put the paint to it to show those, have those flowers show up, all right? But we'll do it. Here we go, let's get that pretty dark. Take it on up just a little more. Now. Okay, I think we're ready probably to start our flowers. I'm going to clean this brush off. And I'm going to start some new colors on this palette. Primarily green. Let's get into sap green just a little bit. Put it out. Then we want to get these, they look pansy-ish now that I'm looking at it. They're kind of a pansy. And you can mix your violet if you want to, but hey, they make it, so get your violet out. Squirt that on there. And then the greenery on this, I've got my yellow already out. I've got my black already out. Let me squeeze a little more black out, just to make sure I've got some dimension. Now the key to these flowers is probably just your brush. I'm going to do this, I've already used this once, but it's just a square sharp. And let's see if we can't mix together the green. I'm using yellow ochre, sap green, yellow, and a little black. And we'll highlight them as we need to. But we just kind of want to do this. I'm holding my brush kind of back here, kind of loose, and just winging it. Don't be afraid. Just pull it like this. Get you a little bit of white in there, and just pull that green like this. You don't want to see where the black stops, okay? All these flowers will go in front of that. Up. There we go, like this. Get into your umber just a little bit, because it's in everything. There we go. Pull these up. And we'll be adding flowers in a minute, but your green needs to go on first, and then your flowers are in front, like this. And they're all, of course, not going to be straight up, so whisk some of those around. Loosey, loosey, loosey. Get some leaves on here like this, just a few little leaves. This is fun. Bring this down. And if you just wanted to stop right here and have a little weed garden, that'd be okay. But let's not. Here we go. Stay in your green puddle. Don't vary too much. And instead of it being even, let's bring some up kind of high so it looks more realistic. Get into my green again. Some of them kind of high, because that would be probably the way it would look. And if the squirrels dig in your pots, it would really be a mess. Mine do. There you go. Here's some more, here's some more. I'm going to put that little tag in right now. Looks like there's a little, I bought these at the store tag right here. Let's get it in. It's kind of cute. And just place it right here. It helps give it a little interest. You could put a little bird down here on your napkin if you wanted to, but we won't go that cheesy. Just put that little tag in there, and that helps add a little interest. It's not quite as boring. There we go. And then you might want to put one of these little, I don't know what they are, y'all, a violet or something. We'll put one of the little pictures of the flower right in that little tag. There we go. Now, start with our greens again. Wispy, 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 wispy. Thin, thin. If you don't get them thin, it looks like somebody did a really bad job of trimming it off. You don't want them stumpy at the end. You want them thin and pull away. So start here and pull down. Just pull down. Don't make them stumpy. They should pull away like that. Sharpen your brush if you have to keep that thin toward the sky, okay? Here we go. A few more. Thin, thin, thin at the top. Now, I'm going to let that settle, clean that brush off, and let's start with those little flowers. Got my violet out, cheating. I'm making it thick because if you don't, you'll have green violets. So, adding a little white to that purple and black. But let's make some little petals there. Okay, squirting some more white out. There we go. And there's a few white ones right in there too. They're not just all purple. Here we go. And some of them are flat. They're not all just round little flowers. Some of them are flat. And that white will help them show up a little more. So I'm adding a little white to my purple. It's not quite purpley enough. I'm gonna mix it just a little bit more. There we go. Add a little white to that purple and that'll help them be purpley enough. There we go. You can see them a little more. And I don't know if you guys can see my phone or not, but you really need to stay close to your art reference. And that's how you'll learn to stay real close to what you're looking at. A lot of artists who are insecure will say, well, I just kind of wanted it to be my own thing. Well, if you're copying something, it needs to look like what you're copying. And that will, you know, that teaches you. There we go, there we go, there we go. There's a little bud here and there. They're not all perfectly round. Using a sharp brush again. And if you are a good realist, then people will respect your impressionism or they'll respect your contemporary if they know you can do the real thing too. There you go. I'm going to add some more white just to pop that out a little more. You can add black too to darken it. Do that on this side because remember it's darker on this side. Still want to be able to see your purple. So really shove your brush around that violet. There we go. That one's not purpley enough. Flatten my brush out. And I tell you something else that's wonderful about oil is it's thick. And I love the thick paint. Yes, it does take it a long time to dry, but it's worth it. You get that really thick, awesome, rich look. I mean, it almost looks like it's, you know, got a texture. It's raised a little bit. Add a little more. Here we go. Boy, we're using the heck out of this violet. It's kind of going away. I may add a little blue to it. See if I can get it a little purpley. I'm going to add just a tad bit of blue to that. That way also they won't all be the same color. Yeah, I think that helps. And you're either a purple person or you're not. Yeah, that blue helped. There we go. Yeah, I'm liking it better. So add a few more over here, and then we're going to add some white ones. Purple, blue, and white are the colors I'm using right now. And some of these are kind of faint. That one wasn't. Some of them are kind of faint, so you want to get in maybe to your white and fade some of those out. Some of them are just buds. Now, let me get in to some white if I can, make it solid. Move that white over. I'm going to have to add some more. But you can always get your brush and move that color over to another spot on its own so it doesn't blend in with other colors you've already got out. Here we go. I'm going to get some fresh white. And nothing's really solid white unless it's the gesso. So you're going to add a little gray to dimensionalize that in just a minute. Let's add a few white ones. Some of them are flat. And even if it's thick and globby, who cares? I like it. It's oily looking. Thick and globby and crust really sell. There we go, there we go. And that adds a little bit of interest to this piece, those white flowers. Let's glob these together. That's what my art reference says. So that's what I'm doing. I tend to get a backache because I keep going back and forth to look at it. Another way you can check your work is to get up and walk away. Just get up and walk away from what you're doing, do something for a few minutes and come back and look at it. And that will help you see your mistakes right away. Or take a picture of it on your phone and look at it in another setting somewhere else, and boy, those mistakes will just pop right up. But if you're looking at it too long, you're not going to see them. There we go. Now, I do want them loosey. Now, let's get back into our purple just a little bit. Now, I'm going to add some black to this purple because we want to kind of dimensionalize some of these. So I'm going to get some black on these around the bottom so they look a little more dimensional. They're a little flat. I'm going to do that with my white too here in just a minute. And let's do some little dots of purple in here. Oh, that's got red in it. Woo. That would have been hard. Get some little dots. Help loosen that up a little bit. Now my white is pretty flat, so I'm going to get a little bit of black, shadow the bottom of some of those. And that helps make them look a little more realistic. I don't really see a middle to any of these flowers, so I'm not going to put one. I ain't going to put one in front of the tag. Actually, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'm going to put one of the flowers on the tag so it looks like that's what's on there when you bought it. There we go. And do just a little green in front so it looks like the tag is in the background. Oop, got it on my terracotta pot. There we go. Use your fingers if you have to. There we go. I want that tag to look background. I'm going to add a few more highlights to those green leaves. There we go. Pop those out some. Sharpen my brush and go way up here with a few more little strays. Maybe blend a couple of these together, stray those out. We definitely need some more out here. So I'm going to add some yellow and green. And I'm going to do some more way out here to loosen it up some. It's a little stiff. There we go. And this is what you call just high detail. Now, you see that leaf that's over that terracotta pot? Got to shadow it because it's flat. Be careful not to get mixed in with your purple on when you start redoing leaves. Pull. There we go. Let's loosen that up a little bit. The looser, the better. Now, I'm going to shadow that one leaf that's hanging over that pot, like that. Helps it look a little dimensional. This one too. Put a shadow on it. Now, while I'm going to let those flowers rest just a minute, and I'm going to play on this pot just a little bit more. It's a lot of fun. So I'm going to get a little more dark and just kind of crud this up some more. I'm just kind of smearing it around. And I'm going to add a little more green maybe. But see, I just love it cruddy. That looks so good. Get it, smack it on there, crud it around. Oop. There we go. Now, I'm going to finish this background below. Just a little more, and I want it kind of dark. There we go. I'm going to add a little black. And you know, some artists don't finish all the way down. They just kind of leave it like that, which is kind of cool. But I thought I'd go ahead and just finish this bottom part up real good. Let me get what's left over of my turpentine. I want it loose, take it all the way down. Now you talk about messy carrying it home, especially if you painted your sides. It's going to be messy. Get rid of those canvas holes. And I kind of like a dark side and a light side, so you know the shadow's over here, but let's darken this one side. When you're doing portraits of any kind, a formal background would have a real dark side and a light side. Canvas holes, canvas holes. There we go, get rid of those. Yeah, that helps. All right, just a little more here. It's actually got a little blue, believe it or not, and that'll help pull in that violet. Let's add just a little blue here. You hate to get this far along and completely screw up, but I really don't think you can on this pot. This is so much fun. Guys, get you a little pot and crud it up. That's why still lives are fun too. All right, I'm gonna get black and I'm gonna ground that just a little darker. And I want this grounded a little darker too. Now sometimes with oil, you might have to leave it a day or two and come back for that paint to stick the way you want it to, because it is thick. There we go. There we go. Darken that horizon a little bit, darken this napkin a little more. And don't overdo, don't overpaint something. You can always come back and add to, but it's hard to take away. So don't overpaint. You know, less is more a lot of times. I use my fingers and blend a lot. Okay, one more little dark area here. Get my palette knife and scrub that up. Ta-da. That's it. Thank you all for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you in October. We're going to do some interesting things. Be sure and tune in. Thanks again.